So, apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
Went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, I guess like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons!
Joe Rogan has never been one to shy away from controversy, but this time, he's escalating things in a way no one expected. After years of being mocked and labeled a misinformation machine, Rogan has decided he's had enough. His latest move? Filing a massive $100 million defamation lawsuit against the hosts of The View. What started as sarcastic jokes and pointed jabs has turned into a full-scale media war. One that could set a legal precedent in how public figures defend their reputations against mainstream talk shows. In today's video, we break down the entire situation, how it started, why Rogan is taking this so seriously, and what it could mean for the future of media accountability. This isn't just about Joe Rogan versus The View. It's about a changing media landscape and what happens when powerful voices push back against reckless commentary. Let's dive into the 10 key reasons why this lawsuit is making headlines.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal note?
I don't know.
Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the
believe
other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles.
It all started with a seemingly harmless but cutting segment on The View. The host took turns mocking Joe Rogan, ridiculing his credibility, and portraying him as someone who spreads wild conspiracy theories. One particularly sarcastic remark accused Rogan of believing in dragons, clearly meant to reduce him to a caricature of a delusional podcast host. But while the tone was joking, the impact was real. These women were broadcasting pointed insults to a national audience, all while framing Rogan as intellectually irresponsible and a source of misinformation. For a public figure like Rogan, whose entire brand hinges on open discussion and thoughtful dialogue, that kind of portrayal can be damaging, both personally and professionally. The segment went viral, echoing across social platforms and giving millions a false impression of who Rogan is and what he represents. That ridicule may have seemed trivial, but it lit the fuse for what was coming next.
With that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. And they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Rather than brush off the mockery as just another media jab, Rogan responded with legal firepower, filing a $100 million defamation lawsuit against The View. This wasn't just about clapping back online or making jokes. This was about holding powerful media figures accountable for their words. The lawsuit alleges that the host's comments damaged Rogan's reputation, endangered his business relationships, and could have long-term consequences for his career. It's a strategic move that shows Rogan isn't playing the media game anymore, he's taking it to court. By putting a dollar amount on the damage, Rogan is making it clear that casual mockery and unfounded accusations won't be tolerated, especially when they come from platforms with their own massive reach. This isn't just about revenge, it's about setting a precedent and letting mainstream media know that reckless commentary comes with a steep price tag.
Everything short of starting the moon landing hoax.
Joe Rogan here. Did you see Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons, I guess? According to Joy Behar, he changed his X profile. Did you see this?
That. I did see that.
It now just simply says dragon believer. He had talked about dragons on the show. It's, you know, the thing of it is, you take anything out of context and you can make fun of it and mock it. And so, you know, let's do that. It goes without saying, Joe Rogan, how many times more intelligent do you think Joe Rogan is than Joy?
One of the biggest criticisms highlighted in this video is how The View made bold accusations against Rogan without presenting any solid evidence. They branded him a dangerous spreader of misinformation, but failed to reference specific statements or offer any factual context. That's not just irresponsible, it's potentially defamatory. In the age of social media, where narratives spread like wildfire, a vague claim can become public truth in an instant. Rogan's lawsuit zeroes in on this issue, arguing that when media platforms make these sweeping declarations, they have a responsibility to back them up with facts. Otherwise, they're not just giving opinions, they're actively misinforming their audience about someone else. And in Rogan's case, with a global audience and multi-million-dollar partnerships on the line, that kind of smear could do real harm. This isn't about silencing critics, it's about demanding accuracy and fairness in public discourse.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said it's
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
This situation highlights a much larger battle playing out in media today, the old guard versus the new wave. On one side, you have The View, a daytime TV institution that thrives on hot takes and tightly controlled panel discussions. On the other, Joe Rogan, whose podcast is built on long-form conversations, diverse perspectives, and intellectual exploration. This video underscores the stark contrast between the two. The View often leans on emotional reactions and ideological consistency, while Rogan embraces nuance and open-ended inquiry. And that difference matters. What we're witnessing isn't just a personal clash, it's a cultural one. Rogan represents a media model that threatens the status quo, and this lawsuit exposes the lengths to which legacy platforms will go to discredit new voices. But in doing so, they may have underestimated just how powerful and prepared Rogan really is.
Who's never Googled the term irony.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
The bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really
But
good
it's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact-checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels, and I'm served up things that I get outraged about, and then I realize, oh, that's not even true.
Joe Rogan isn't just some guy with a microphone, he's one of the most powerful voices in modern media. With over 11 million listeners per episode and a $100 million Spotify contract, his reach is massive. That level of influence means that when mainstream outlets like The View attack him, the consequences can't be brushed off. Words carry weight, and when misused, they can lead to lost deals, broken relationships, and a tarnished public image. This video emphasizes that point. Rogan's platform isn't just entertainment, it's a business empire. So when someone tries to drag that down with careless statements, it's not just offensive, it's actionable. His decision to file a lawsuit isn't just personal, it's a business move meant to protect a brand that took years to build. With so much on the line, Rogan had no choice but to fight back.
And I agree that Joe Rogan is a horror.
I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation?
Before the legal battle fully erupted, Rogan responded in his own satirical style by changing his online profile to read Dragon Believer. It was a cheeky, clever nod to the insult hurled at him by The View and a reminder of his ability to turn ridicule into comedy. But this wasn't just for laughs. It was a strategic move that flipped the narrative on its head. Instead of being the butt of a joke, Rogan became the one in control, mocking the media for their lazy caricatures and using humor to expose their lack of seriousness. This tactic not only resonated with his fans, but also highlighted how ridiculous some of the attacks against him really are. Rogan showed that he's not afraid to laugh at himself. But when it comes to false accusations with real consequences, he's more than willing to take things seriously. And now, he's doing exactly that.
But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school, and that's,
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
It's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded.
A central message in this video is media accountability. As platforms grow and the lines between opinion and fact blur, it becomes more important than ever for media figures to be held responsible for what they say. Rogan's lawsuit isn't just about cleaning up his image, it's about demanding integrity from those who shape public discourse. Shows like The View have often hidden behind the defense of being just entertainment, but that excuse is starting to wear thin. The public expects more. The video argues that if you're going to label someone as a danger to society, you better have the facts to back it up. Otherwise, you're part of the very misinformation problem you claim to oppose. Rogan's lawsuit is a call to all media outlets. Be better, or be ready for legal consequences. This could mark a turning point in how we approach truth in televised commentary.
He trains in actual cage matches.
The show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
and at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows.
Public sentiment is quickly shifting, and it's not in favor of The View. As soon as Rogan's lawsuit was announced, social media exploded with reactions, and a large chunk of the internet rallied behind him. Reddit threads, YouTube comments, and viral tweets all painted The View as out of touch, hypocritical, and lacking journalistic integrity. For many, this wasn't just about Rogan. It was about fighting back against a media culture that shuts down opposing views with mockery instead of debate. This backlash has become a key part of the story. It shows that audiences are more informed, more skeptical, and less willing to accept lazy narratives. If The View thought their comments would go unnoticed, they were wrong. Rogan's fanbase, and even casual observers, are treating this lawsuit as a broader reckoning with dishonest media. And it's a reckoning that could change how talk shows operate moving forward.
Legal options, which is legalese for, oh God, please don't let this go to trial.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's
That's
The
the
View?
only reason why I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just heard about it.
I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check this? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think they lived
Sasquatch,
alongside of people?
This video doesn't shy away from critiquing the hosts of The View directly. It challenges their intellectual credibility, calling some of them ideologically rigid and others simply unqualified to weigh in on topics like science, culture, or free speech. It argues that instead of fostering meaningful dialogue, these hosts often resort to groupthink and rehearsed outrage. That formula might work for television ratings, but it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. In contrast, Rogan's podcast is portrayed as a space where ideas are actually tested, where people from all walks of life can challenge each other without fear of censorship. The video positions The View as a relic of an older media system, one that values applause lines over truth. By dissecting the way these hosts operate, the video asks viewers to reconsider who we allow to shape our public narratives, and why those narratives are often so one-sided.
Why doesn't The View have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them... It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you'd go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of, yeah.
In the end, this lawsuit is much bigger than Joe Rogan or a few sarcastic jokes. It's a warning shot to anyone in media who thinks they can recklessly damage someone's reputation without evidence. The message is clear: free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. Rogan is using his resources and influence to set a legal precedent, and this could become a landmark case for how defamation is handled in the entertainment industry. If successful, it may open the door for more public figures to stand up against careless media attacks. But even if the lawsuit doesn't succeed in court, it's already succeeded in the court of public opinion. It's sparked a conversation about truth, responsibility, and the changing face of media. And it's reminding everyone, whether on daytime TV or behind a podcast mic, that your words matter, and you'd better be ready to stand by them. Joe Rogan's battle with The View is more than just a headline. It's a defining moment in the war between traditional media and new age platforms. His $100 million defamation lawsuit isn't just about setting the record straight, it's about holding powerful voices accountable when they misuse their platforms. Whether you agree with Rogan's opinions or not, his willingness to take legal action is forcing the media to take a hard look in the mirror. Are they reporting responsibly or just chasing viral outrage? As audiences become more discerning, the era of unchecked commentary might finally be coming to an end. One thing's for sure, this lawsuit has shaken the industry, and the ripple effects are just beginning. If The View thought they could mock a podcast giant without pushback, they've just learned a $100 million lesson. The days of media immunity may be over,